Hello everyone watching this video. I'm going to show you how to sculpt, starting with Crayola Model Magic. Some other clays that I like to use are Crayola Air Dry Clay, the white one, and Sculpey 3. The tools you're going to need are sharp toothpicks, specifically the sharp ones. I like to use this rounded ball tool specifically for clay, and also an X-Acto knife. Other tools we're going to need are water, lukewarm, and aluminum foil for the base. Start by making your aluminum foil into a ball, or any shape you want to. I'm starting with a ball for the simplicity of the video. Once you have your foil ball, get out some clay. This video I'm using Model Magic. You may need more or less clay depending on what you're making, so just keep that in mind and make sure you have enough. I like to knead my clay a little bit before I start using it, so I'll just stretch it out and knead it a little bit. And then I'm going to take a hunk of clay and put it on the foil ball. You're going to want to do a pretty thick coat of clay around the ball, about 1/4 inch. If you don't, it'll crack when it dries. I had a little more clay than I needed, so I just put that aside. That's okay. And here, you see the way that my hands pinch the clay inward around the foil ball. Firstly, I want to show you how to attach pieces. So I'm just going to take a little bit of clay and I'm going to roll it into 2 balls. I like to soften the clay up with a little bit of water, especially when I'm attaching pieces. You're also going to rub the surface you're attaching to with just a little bit of water to make it tacky. I'm using 2 different methods to attach each ball. For this one, I'm pinching the clay down and blending it into the bottom on the clay ball. I then use this rounded tool to smooth out the edges and blend the borders together. If you don't have this, you can always try and use your finger. Make sure to smooth it out with water as you go. A little bit will go a long way, so be careful. Now I'm reshaping the ball because it got a little bit pinched out of place. So that's how you attach it in one way. You can see the difference in how they're connected. Then here's the second way. I take a little bit of clay and then I'm going to saturate it with water, and it's going to get really, really sticky and it's going to stick. So you're going to have to be patient and work with it. Now I've got it as sticky as I need, and I roll it into a stick and I twist it around the seam just a little bit, and it acts like a glue. And then you can just press it in there and then smooth it out with your finger if you need to, and that will connect the pieces. Here you can see me shake my hand. I'm shaking the water off because I got too much. Always make sure to just use a little bit of water. Too much water will make it crack in the end when it dries. Again, I'm reshaping the piece, and there's the difference in the seams. Right here, I dipped the clay in water because it had dried out a little bit, and you're going to want to be doing this all throughout your sculpting session, otherwise the clay will dry out and you won't be able to use it. I like to gauge how moist it is by whether it stretches or rips. For animal-like ears, you're going to want to take a small amount of clay and then shape it into a triangle with your fingers like this. You're going to need a little less clay than you think you need because you're going to flatten it out. And when you flatten it out, it definitely gets a lot bigger. Once it's flat, you want to pinch the bottom two edges towards each other and then flatten that so that when you attach it, it has a flat edge so you can attach it to your main piece. Attaching it, I put some water down and I just squeeze it a little bit, and then you can smooth it out with your finger if you need to, but be careful because too much squishing will deform the ear. Here I'm adding a bit more water just to smooth out the seam, connecting it. This shape of ear is good for like deer and horses. Then I'm going to make a different ear, and it's pretty much the same thing. Take a little bit of clay. I'm doing a little less for this one. And you shape it into a triangle. Same way to make the triangle with your fingers. And then you flatten it out. And for this one, since it's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit more difficult. But once you flattened it out, you're just going to roll the edges towards each other just a little bit, not all the way like the previous ear. So now you have this kind of cone shape, and you can attach that to the moistened surface, and that makes more of a cat or dog ear. And of course you can flatten it out with your fingers, smooth it with some water. You can use this tool to make the inner ear a little bit deeper, because sometimes it just doesn't look right. So there it is. With Model Magic, I usually like to paint the eyes, but for this one I'm just going to use glass eyes to show you how to do it while you're sculpting. I bought these off of Amazon for about $7. You just need to break the little metal piece off and only use the glass part, because otherwise you can't shove it into the clay. And you're just going to gently push it in, and these are going to fall out as the clay dries. You will need to glue them in after the clay dries. The aluminum foil comes in handy here because you can press the eyes in without squishing the entire clay ball. For a nose, you're going to want to get just a little bit of clay, roll it around, make sure it's nice and smooth, and then shape it into a triangle, just like how you did the ear. Except this time, you don't want to flatten it, just round it out to make it kind of look like a nose shape. Then attach it to the moistened surface of the clay. You can smooth it out with your finger and a little bit of water, just as attaching any other piece. For nostrils, I usually use this rounded ball tool, and it makes a nice small and round nostril. But if you're just doing this without the tools, you can also just use the toothpick and make a little hole in there. It does usually end up a little more jagged, but it still gets the point across. Here's what it looks like with eyes. Mouths are the most difficult, but the most fun part of sculpting. Start with a teeny bit of clay for a tooth, and you're going to make sure that this is nice and round. And you're going to kind of shape it into a triangle, just like the ear, but then you're going to want to round out all the edges so that it looks more like a real tooth. Again, attach that to the moistened surface of the clay and smash it down just a little bit so it doesn't look too bulbous. Here's the other one that I did. For lips, you will always want to do lips over the teeth. Make sure you always do the teeth first. And then just roll out a nice thick log. Then attach this as the top lip. Make sure you also do the top lip before you do the bottom lip. And there I'm just attaching it to the clay. Usually I use the ball tool to make a cupid's bow, but for this video I'll use my finger to show you how you can do it without this tool. Just kind of pinch to make the little mounds. Finally, you're going to want to do the bottom lip about the same width as the top lip. Roll it out and stick it onto the clay. And you can see I made the log a little bit too long and I just cut that off. It's kind of like silly putty, how if you pull it hard it rips, but if you pull it softly it'll stretch. And now I'm just finally sculpting the lips, making them nice and smooth. And here's the little guy I made using all of these techniques. Hope you found this video useful. Bye.